Thanks to both of you. This is, as we say, an incredibly emotional issue on both sides. And of course, the world is watching this because of this debate on euthanasia being raised yet again. Don Schweitzer, I want to go to you first and really address this issue of when there are instances like this where no living will is existence. Who decides, who should decide, the parents or the spouse?
It really depends on the state that we're talking about. You know, in this country, we have the state right to make decisions like this. Florida, at this time of this case, didn't have that requirement, and the power was with the court. The court made a factual finding that it was the husband's decision, and that was the state of the law, and we have to comply with the state of the law.
Dorothy Timms, depends on the state. What's your reaction to that as who decides and who should decide?
Well, no matter what state we're in, whenever there's going to be a dispute about a living will or when there's not a living will, it's going to end up in the courts. And here it did end up in the courts. And all we're asking for is for a simple hearing, a federal review, to ensure that Terry Schiavo, a woman who is 41 years old, who is not terminally ill, to ensure that her most basic fundamental right to life has been protected.
But some may say it has been for 15 years, and now perhaps as her situation has not improved, that maybe it is time to call it quits. What do you say to that?
Well, this case is really just about quality of life. Are we going to put a price tag on life? Are we going to tell someone their life is not worthy of living? Here, she had no living will. We're going solely on alleged statements that she made to her husband, who ironically said he loves her, but who is now living with another woman and who he's had 2 children with. Her family has pleaded with Michael he has moved on with her life to let Terry and her family move on with theirs. It has gone through the Florida court systems. We are simply begging and pleading for a federal review to ensure that this was an unbiased judge, that the physicians who examined her did not have hidden agendas.
Don Schweitzer, where you have a situation where a mother is there begging for her daughter to be kept alive, incredibly emotional, if they're willing to do that, why do you say the court should step in and remove that issue?
Look, we can't fault a mother for begging and pleading and wanting to the final, end for her daughter to remain alive. And she's not a bad person. The problem that I have is with the people who want to circumvent this court's final judgment in violation of the separation of powers that we have in this country. What we have is irresponsible lawmakers and politicians who should know better. They should know that in order to keep balance in our government, you don't try to change the law because of a particular case. If the people on the other side of this issue want to change the law and create further review and things like that, they can do that. But you don't try to step in and circumvent the final judgment of a court. That's very dangerous for our society, and that's where I differ with these pleas that, hey, at least give her an appeal right with the federal government. Well, guess what? That right doesn't exist, and until it does, court has spoken. We have to respect the finality of the court's ruling.
Dora Timms, if Terry Schiavo had had a living will and she had in that living will said, I do not want to be kept artificially alive, would you support that?
Yes, if she had said, I want to be starved and dehydrated to death, absolutely. But the facts of this case do not reflect that. And